All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time we're getting into marketing, but from a really unique angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at Alan Dibb's one-page marketing plan using the book itself as our main source material.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So the goal is to break down this whole framework, into something you can actually use no matter what your business is or how much marketing experience you have.
I like it cut to the chase.
Hmm.
What I find really interesting about this book is that Dibb, uh, he doesn't just jump right into the how-tos.
Right.
He takes a step back and really questions why those, traditional business plans often just flop.
I've definitely been there.
Totally. And he says it all comes down to paralysis by analysis, which, I mean,
Oh, for sure.
let's face it, we've probably all experienced that at some point.
Absolutely. And then he ties this to the 80-20 rule, that idea that 20% of our effort gets us 80% of the results.
Right, but then he takes it even further, pushes it to the extreme with the 644 rule, which basically means,
Wait, 644? What's that all about?
okay, so 64% of what we do day in and day out is basically, well, wasted effort.
Wow.
Only 4% is truly making a big impact. So Dibb's point is that in business, just like in life, we need to laser focus on that crucial 4%.
I'm already feeling convicted.
Uh-huh.
So for anyone listening, think about your work. What are those tasks that feel urgent but honestly don't really get you closer to your goals?
The time wasters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dib would say ditch them and double down on the stuff that really makes a difference.
He has this great analogy to really illustrate this point. Imagine a circus coming to town. So you've got a sign that just says, "Circus coming to the showground Saturday."
Okay, pretty basic.
Right. That's advertising. But now picture this. You put that same sign on an elephant and parade it through town.
Haha, now that's marketing.
Exactly. That's promotion.
Okay, I see what he's getting at. It's not enough to just exist. You have to, grab attention.
Especially in this day and age.
Exactly. Especially now when the internet means you're competing globally. Everyone is.
It's a whole new ballgame. So how do you build a marketing house, let's call it, that can actually stand strong in that kind of environment?
Right, good question.
Dibb says you need two key ingredients: strategy and tactics. He compares it to having a blueprint and the bricks to build with.
Makes sense?
And he says that one without the other is just asking for trouble.
That's a helpful way to think about it. Strategy without any action, without the tactics, it's all just a daydream. And tactics without a strategy.
Well, that's just running around like...
Like a headless chicken.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so then how do you figure out that strategy part? Where do you start?
This is where Dibb introduces the concept of customer avatars.
Avatars.
And-
Like in the movies?
Not quite. We're not talking about blue aliens here, but
That'd be good.
it is about getting deep, though, going beyond those basic demographics you usually see. You really want to dive into your ideal customer's world.
Ah, so like understanding their motivations.
Exactly.
I see. He uses this example, Angela Assistant, and it's incredibly detailed. I mean, he maps out her age, what frustrates her at work, even her hobbies.
Wow, so it's like he's painting a portrait of this person.
That's the goal, really, to get such a deep understanding of your target market, their desires, their fears even, that you can speak directly to their needs.
That makes sense.
It's about going beyond just selling a product. It's about becoming a problem solver for a very specific person.
Which brings us to another really important point Dibb makes. Competing on price alone, that's a losing game, especially for smaller businesses.
Absolutely, it's a race to the bottom.
So you have to have something that sets you apart, right? Something he calls a unique selling proposition, or USP.
You got it. It's what makes people choose you over everyone else, even if your products are similar.
Right, so they're not comparing apples to apples anymore.
Exactly. Dibb uses examples like bottled water and coffee, things we usually think of as pretty basic as commodities. But even there, branding and the experience you create can allow you to charge a premium. Think about it. Why do you pick one coffee shop over another when the coffee itself might not be that different?
It's true, you're right. It's the vibe, the service, that whole feeling you get.
You're not just buying caffeine, you're buying an experience.
So, okay, we've got our ideal customer in mind. We're thinking about our USP. How do we communicate all of this to people quickly?
This is where Dibb stresses the importance of nailing that elevator pitch.
Oh, elevator pitches. I've always found those so awkward. It feels so forced.
It doesn't have to be. The trick is to focus on the customer's problem, not on yourself.
Okay, I see.
Dibb suggests this structure. Problem? Well, what we do is solution. In fact, proof.
So it's about showing how you help people, not just listing all your amazing features. And that proof part, That adds credibility.
Exactly. Now, Dib maps all of this onto what he calls the customer journey. He breaks it down into 3 phases: before, during, and after. And the before phase is all about grabbing the attention of the right people.
That makes sense. And that's where niching down comes in, right? Focusing on a specific group instead of trying to appeal to everyone.
You got it. Dib argues this is one of the most powerful things you can do.
Really?
It allows you to become a big fish in a small pond, like dominate a niche in a way that wouldn't be possible with a more general approach.
So you're saying being specific makes you stand out more.
Exactly. Think about it. Would you rather be known as the best pizza place in town or just another generic restaurant?
The best pizza place, for sure.
Right. That laser focus helps you tailor your message and attract the people who are most likely to become loyal customers.
This is making a lot of sense, but I'm curious to know what happens after you actually get someone's attention. What's next? How do you go from that initial interest to a customer relationship?
Well, that's where we move into the during phase, which we'll dive into in the next part of this deep dive.
Welcome back. Last time we left off talking about that before phase, getting the right people's attention. Now let's dive into the during phase. We've got their attention, but how do we nurture these leads and actually turn them into paying customers?
Okay, so this is where things get a bit more tactical. Dib talks about building a marketing infrastructure, which sounds kind of intimidating.
It does.
But it's really just about putting systems in place that help you manage and cultivate those leads efficiently. So things like CRM systems, email marketing, tools like that.
It's like building a machine that's working for you in the background.
Exactly.
So you're not constantly scrambling. But before we even get into those systems, Dib emphasizes this idea of the ethical bribe, which sounds kind of interesting.
Right, it's a catchy phrase.
So what's that all about?
Basically offering something valuable for free in exchange for, contact information. Could be a free report, a webinar, a discount code, anything that gives the prospect immediate value and positions you as a helpful resource.
So it feels less like a sales pitch and more like, hey, here's something useful, no strings attached.
Exactly. But I can see how some people might be thinking, well, what if my business isn't the kind that really lends itself to free reports or webinars? What can I offer?
All right, that's a good point.
Well, Dib's point is really about the principle of providing value. It could be a free consultation, a sample product, even just access to some exclusive content that you create. The format matters less than the core idea, which is give before you ask.
Give before you ask. I like that. Okay, so we're building trust, we're offering value, but how do we actually seal the deal? What are some of Dib's go-to tactics for converting those leads into actual paying customers?
He talks a lot about the importance of having a really strong guarantee, one that eliminates the risk for the customer and makes them feel confident about choosing you.
Right. I remember him saying it should be so outrageous that your competitors are afraid to copy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It goes back to that idea of exceeding expectations that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
A solid guarantee, it takes away those objections and builds trust. He also stresses offering multiple payment options, making the buying process as smooth and easy as possible.
It's about removing all those little obstacles that can make someone hesitate or, abandon their cart before they even finish checking out.
Exactly. Make it easy for them to do business with you.
Hmm.
Okay, now we talked a lot about attracting new customers, but what about the ones we already have? How do we keep them coming back for more?
Right. We can't forget about them. And that's where the after phase comes in, where we turn those customers into raving fans. What does Dib suggest we do after someone has made a purchase?
This is where it gets really fun. He talks about something he calls lumpy mail, and it's basically sending physical items to customers as a surprise.
Like what?
It could be a handwritten thank you note, a small gift, even just a personalized postcard.
So in a world that's all digital all the time, those tangible physical gestures really stand out.
Absolutely. And it shows that you see them as a person, as an individual, not just a transaction. He also talks about exceeding customer service expectations, finding ways to go above and beyond to really create that wow experience.
So not just meeting their needs, but going above and beyond so they walk away thinking, that was amazing, I have to tell everyone about this.
Exactly. But then, of course, the question is, how do you know if you're actually succeeding in creating these raving fans?
Point.
Well, Dib suggests using something called the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. It's a simple survey that basically asks how likely a customer is to recommend you to a friend.
Good old word of mouth marketing. The best kind. Okay, so we're nurturing these relationships, we're going the extra mile, but how do we actually turn those happy customers into a source of even more business?
That brings us to referrals. Dib argues that referrals are the most valuable type of lead, but you can't just sit back and passively wait for them to happen. You got to be proactive. You got to orchestrate them.
So don't be shy about asking for those referrals.
Exactly. Make it a natural part of your process. Like after you've completed a project or delivered a service, just casually ask the customer if they know anyone else who might benefit. And consider offering incentives too, like a discount, a gift card, something to show your appreciation and encourage people to spread the word.
It's like setting up a system that rewards those valuable recommendations. So, okay, we've covered attracting new customers, we've talked about nurturing the ones we already have, and getting those all-important referrals. Is that pretty much the whole one-page marketing plan?
We've hit the core of it for sure. But Dib has a few more key insights up his sleeve that I think we should unpack. Things like his unique take on branding and why it's important to have an exit strategy in mind from day one.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into the one-page marketing plan.
Part 3.
We've covered so much from really understanding your ideal customer to setting up those systems that attract, nurture, and really just WIW them. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't talked about yet, and it's a big one.
Okay, I'm listening.
Branding. And I don't know about you, but for me it feels like such a buzzword sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially for smaller businesses. I think it gets way overcomplicated.
Totally. So I'm curious, what's Dib's take on all this branding stuff? How does he simplify it?
Well, he boils it down to this. Your brand is the personality of your business. It's not just your logo or a catchy tagline. It's the overall feeling that people get when they interact with you, your company, your, everything.
So it's more about the experience you create then, and less about the visuals.
Exactly. It's about consistency. It's about exceeding expectations. And like we said before, turning those customers into raving fans who can't wait to tell all their friends about you.
Word of mouth.
The best advertising there is. And that's how you build brand equity, that intangible goodwill that makes your business stand out from the crowd.
Right. And that kind of trust, you can't just build it overnight with a fancy logo. It's got to be earned.
It takes time.
It's about proving yourself over and over, consistently delivering on what you promise and making people feel valued.
Think about the brands you personally love, the ones you're loyal to.
Okay, yeah?
They probably earn that loyalty by consistently exceeding your expectations. They make you feel like you matter, like you're not just another number.
It's funny, it makes me think back to that coffee shop example from earlier. You go back not just for the coffee, but for that whole vibe, how they make you feel.
Exactly. It's about more than just the product itself. It's about the whole experience. And that's the essence of what branding is all about. Okay, now here's one more thing Dib talks about that I think is super insightful. It might seem a little counterintuitive at first, though.
Oh, okay, hit me with it.
He says you should be thinking about your exit strategy right from the get-go.
Wait, really? You're just starting out and you're already thinking about the end.
I know, it sounds kind of strange.
It does.
But his reasoning is that it forces you to think long-term, to build a business that actually has value beyond your own involvement.
Oh.
He even says that the person or the company who buys your business down the line is ultimately your, final customer.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. So by making your business attractive to potential buyers, you're setting yourself up for a better outcome later on.
Exactly.
Whether that's selling the business for a profit, passing it on to someone else, or even just creating something that can run smoothly without you being there every minute of every day.
Freedom. It's about making those smart decisions early on that increase the value of your business over time.
This has been incredible, such an interesting journey through the one-page marketing plan. We've covered so much ground, from really understanding that ideal customer to, exceeding their expectations and making them true fans.
It's a lot to process, but Dib's whole point is to simplify marketing, to make it actually doable, not just theory.
Right. So if you had to choose just one thing for our listeners to focus on first, what would it be?
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick just one, I'd say start with that customer avatar.
Yeah, I agree. That feels like the foundation.
It is. Get crystal clear on who your ideal customer is, what keeps them up at night, what problems are they struggling with, because once you understand that, everything else falls into place.
Well said. That wraps up our deep dive into Alan Dibb's one-page marketing plan. I hope this has given you a fresh perspective on marketing and maybe even inspired you to, try some of these things out in your own business.
Remember, the real magic happens when you take action. Take these principles, apply them to your unique situation, and don't be afraid to experiment. See what works best for you.
The world of marketing, it's always changing, so stay curious, stay creative, and keep those marketing gears turning.
Until next time.